So in this video, what we're going to be talking about is the law of sines. So law of sines follows this formula. Sine of angle A divided by leg A is equal to sine of angle B divided by leg B, and sine of angle C divided by leg C. So with law of sines, all you're doing is setting up proportions. So the law of sines will work when you do not have a right triangle. So we've been using trig to solve for missing sides and missing angles in right triangles. But if the triangle is not right and there's no right angle, then we can use law of sines. So the first thing we're going to want to do here is it says given ABC. Let's go around and label the vertices of our triangle. And then across from angle A will be leg A, across from angle B will be leg B, and then across from angle C will be leg C. So angles are always defined with the capital letters, and then legs are always defined with the lowercase letters. Now, you see here that we're not going to have three proportions. We're only going to have two, because in this example on number 1, there is no value for angle B and there is no value for leg B. So we will not use B at all when we set up our proportion. We're definitely going to use angle A and leg A because we're looking for the variable x here. So let's go ahead and set up our first one. It says sine of angle A, which would be 71 degrees. And then we'll say if we divide that by leg A, which in this case is x, that should equal sine of angle C, which here is 35, divided by leg C, which they gave us to be 12. Now here all we have is a proportion. So what we'll do is cross multiply and solve. So if I cross here, I have x times sine of 35 equals 12 times sine of 71. And now I want to isolate the variable x. So I will divide each side by sine 35. So here, x is going to equal 12 times sine 71 divided by sine 35. So we'll put that on our calculator. So we already have a fraction, so let's hit math left. We'll come over here and select our fraction symbol. And this was 12 times sine of 71 divided by sine of 35. And that will give us approximately 19.8. So for all of these, I'm going to be rounding to the nearest tenth. So x here is approximately 19.8. That would be the length of my side. So here we will say approximately 19.8. Now this will work for every example. Even over here on number 2, the first thing we'll do is label our sides. So here, angle A, angle B, angle C. Now, it does not matter what vertice you call A, B, and C. All that matters is that across from angle A, you make sure to label that leg A. Across from angle B, you make sure to label that leg B. And then across from angle C, we make sure to call this leg C. So now we'll set up our ratio. Again, in this example, we will not be using sine of B over leg B because there are no values here. So I can say sine of angle A, which is 73, divided by leg A, which here they told us was 20, should equal sine of angle C, 59, and then that will be over x. So we have the same problem we did before. We're just going to cross multiply and solve like we would any other proportion. So this would be x times sine of 73 equals 20 times sine of 59. So we want to isolate the x. So what I'll do now is I will divide by sine of 73. So here we have our fraction, 20 sine 59 over sine 73. So let's come back to our calculator. We'll type this in. So we have 20 times sine of 59 all over sine of 73. So this is going to give us approximately 17.9. So x here is approximately 17.9. So we'll do one more example where we are solving to find a missing leg. So we'll do this the same way. Here is, we'll say, angle A, B, and C. So across from here, angle A is leg A. Uh-oh, I didn't put the measurement. All right, so this leg, this was a problem from the book. This leg is 15 degrees. My apologies. All right. And then across from angle B is leg B, and then across from angle C is leg C. Now, we're looking to solve for x, so we have to have the value of angle B. So they don't give us that, but they do give us the two angles that are already in the triangle here, 29 degrees and 103. So what I'm going to do is add these two together, 29 plus 103, and that gives me 132 degrees. So I need to subtract this from 180. So here, let me say 180 subtract 132. And that's going to give us 48. So that's going to be the measure of my angle here. And that's what I'll use when I set up my proportion. So I have sine of A, so that'll be sine of 29, divided by leg A. This will equal sine of angle B divided by leg B. So now we can cross multiply. So we have, I'll bring this up over here by the 15, x times sine of 29. This should equal 15 times sine of 48. So we want to isolate the x, so we will divide by sine of 29. Now we'll have our approximation once we put this on the calculator. So we have 15 divided by sine 48. And that is over sine of 29. So this is going to give us 23. So x here is approximately 23. Okay, now let's look over here at number 4. So we know that we can go ahead and label our sides. So we have angle A, angle B, angle C, leg A, leg B, and leg C. Here we're looking for a missing angle. So setting up our proportion is not going to be any different. So we're going to say sine of x divided by the leg, which in this case would be 9, will be equal to, and then we're going to use the angle and the leg that we're given. Sine of 77 divided by 14. So nothing's going to change. This is still a proportion. We're still going to cross multiply. So we still have 14 times sine of x. This equals 9 times sine of 77. We want sine of x by itself. So here we'll come down and we'll divide each side by 14. So now we have sine of x equals 9 times sine of 77 divided by 14. Now, we're looking for the measure of an angle. So we don't want this sine in front. So what we have to remember is that sine is a function. And in order for this function to go away or to be reduced by 1, we have to multiply by the inverse. And so whatever we do to one side, we have to make sure that we're doing it to the other. So I'll slide this over just a bit, and we'll say, okay, well, if I multiply one side by inverse sine, I have to multiply the other by inverse sine. So here, x is going to be approximately the inverse sine of this fraction here. So on my calculator, I'm going to say inverse sine. Well, inverse sine is right here in blue above sine, so I have to hit the blue key, sine. We're going to type in a fraction, so we're going to go ahead and hit math, hit left, enter. All right, there's our fraction. So we're going to say 9 times sine of 77 divided by 14. And we'll hit enter. So the measure of our angle is going to be approximately 38.8 degrees. So here, the measure of this angle would be approximately 38.8 degrees. So that's when we're solving for an angle. We'll do 2 more examples solving for angles. So we can go ahead and label our sides. There's A, B, C. Across from angle A is leg A, leg B, leg C. So here, this is already set up quite nicely for us. So we can say sine of x divided by 21 should equal sine of 61 divided by 24. From here, we'll cross multiply and we'll get 24 times sine of x. This will be equal to 21 times sine of 61. We want sine of x by itself, so we want to isolate. So we'll divide by the number in front. Since they're multiplying, we have to do the opposite of what they're doing. So we'll divide by 24. So here again, you want sine to go away. This is sine of x will equal this ratio. Well, we can't just make sine go away because it's a function. So the way you reduce a function to 1 is you multiply by its inverse. So x is approximately sine inverse of this ratio here. So remember, you have to hit the blue key first, second sine. We'll go ahead and set up our fraction. And then we'll type this in. 21 sine of 61 all over 24. This will give us approximately 49.9 degrees. So that would be the value of angle B, 49.9. Our last example, solving for an angle. So here we don't have to use angle C or leg C at all. So we have sine of x divided by 37 equals sine of B divided by 43. So we'll cross multiply. And then we'll isolate the sine of x, so we will divide by 43. And we we eliminate the function sine, reduce it to 1 by multiplying by the inverse. So x here will be approximately inverse sine of 37 times sine 94 divided by 43. So inverse sine of 37 times sine of 94 all over 43. So we're going to get approximately 59.1. Okay, that's your introduction to the law of sines. I hope this video was helpful. If you have any questions, make sure you ask or post a comment.